Boy, oh boy, we're at it again. History or his story.
Is there more history or more your story?
Well, just by the law of averages, there's 2 histories and 1 his story, so it'd be more history.
Okay.
Hey, I'm Dan. I like to talk history. These are my 2 buddies, Panda and Brand. How you guys doing?
Great.
Doing
How are
good.
you?
Today's the day, guys.
Today's the day.
The streak starts.
Begins. Now, we are either in December or close. I don't want to check the calendar. We're getting pretty deep into the Christmas season for you to just now want to start your streak, but now you're thinking is the time.
Yeah. While you're doing a little intro, I will figure out what day it is. And I know that you guys listening are probably like, man, why do you guys not know what day it is? We're right in the middle.
Podcasting magic.
We can't
puts
air
us in
any
a
of
loop.
this.
No, we're
Yeah.
right in the middle of the holiday season with Deck the Hallmark, and
It's going to turn.
It's a mystery.
It's 11:59. It's going to be midnight. We didn't know what
We
date
didn't
to
know what
put
day it
on
is.
there.
So I'll
Yeah.
let you know
Yeah.
after Dan. But Dan, tell everybody about some things that people can do to get.
So first of all, thanks so much. The support and the outpouring has been overwhelming. People seem to really like what we're doing here, which is wonderful. But also, if you could do us a favor, like, rate, review, subscribe, leave us the old 5-star. Tell us how much you like it.
it's Thanksgiving week, guys.
Wow!
Oh my
Happy
goodness.
Thanksgiving!
What are you guys doing for Thanksgiving?
Oh, fam,
Are you going to do a little Black Friday shopping? Buy
I'm
a
not.
TV?
You know what? I'm not going to do.
This is episode 6, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think so.
Wow, we're getting off to a great
Happy
start.
Thanksgiving, everybody.
We are in the middle of watching a bunch of Hallmark movies. I really don't have time for anything else because we are watching Hallmark movies. 12 movies released in 10 days. We do another podcast called Deck the
but
Hallmark.
Thanksgiving week,
Yeah.
it is crazy for
It's
a
crazy.
Hallmark, but
Yeah.
it's also like in a couple days we're going to take a little bit of a break and be with family, and I'm very excited about that.
Well, I can tell you what I'm excited about. Historyorhisstory.com. You can find us on the web at His Story Podcast, at
Yeah.
His Story Podcast on the socials. Please
Yeah.
join up. If you want to email me, Dan at deckthehallmark.com, Dan at deckthehallmark.com, you can tell me where I went wrong or maybe some corrections because I'm bound to have missed something here and
Dan's
there.
never wrong.
He's seldom.
Seldom wrong.
More often than not.
Yeah, he's wrong.
More often than not, I'm wrong. So we went from never to seldom to more. I say more things that are wrong than right.
I don't trust most of what you
But
say.
to be fair, I tell 3 stories. 2 of them are historically accurate, and you asked me which was more history or his story.
Math is hard.
Matt
sometimes.
don't do good. So here's the deal. As you may have gathered by this point, I tell these young gentlemen 3 stories, and 2 of those stories are actually historically accurate. 1 story is a lie I made up. They get 3 minutes of questions after each story, and at the end they will confer or not if they're trying to beat the other one, and then they tell me which one they think is a lie. I reveal which one was a lie, and we keep a running tally.
It's currently 3
to 1.
With one get. Yeah, so it's a 6 episode.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's one episode where we both got it wrong, which is hard to do.
That
Yeah,
was
no,
a
we
spot.
did. We did.
3, 4, 1 episode that
We missed,
We
and then
missed.
we have
And
the
then
6.
it's a 6 episode. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving. We did it. Turkey.
Turkey.
All right.
Okay.
Are we ready to get this thing started?
Oh my gosh.
All right. So typically I tell you there's a theme to the stories. I read you the title of all 3. You tell me the order in which you would like to hear them.
The theme of this week is all turkey, right?
all turkey. It is not. I did not plan it.
I can't wait for our Christmas episode where it's all Santa stories.
There are 2 holidays in these stories, though.
What?
Yeah.
Can we have a Christmas episode?
Yeah, absolutely. Sure. For sure. As long as I know what day that is. The 25th this year.
Yes.
That's right. These stories all have to do with celebrities visiting the White House.
Oh, yeah.
Celebrities visiting the White House. That's right. And they all they're from 3 consecutive presidents. They're from the Carter administration, the Reagan administration, and the H.W. Bush administration.
That's
So,
Jimmy.
That's Jimmy Carter.
Jimmy Carter.
Not Tony Carter.
Tony Carter.
Tony Carter.
Tony Carter.
Tony.
Tony. He's the chef at the White House
That's
for
right.
many years.
Tony. He started a band on the side. I will read you the 3 story titles in chronological order.
Wait, Tony Carter's band was Tony.
There's a real band called Tony.
Really?
There's a real one. Yes, you did not know that? Did you know that?
I did not know
Tony.
They're that's spelled 3 different ways.
TONITONYTONIE.
I believe. Yeah, you
No,
can look
that's
it up.
tone.
Look, it's got an accent.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's do this.
Okay, the 3 stories. First of all, Willie Nelson smokes weed at the White House with Jimmy Carter's son. Story number 2. Sorry, I got to scroll here. Story number 2. The First Lady kisses Santa Claus, Mr. T.
Those are 2 names that I'm confused by.
And then the 3rd story, the Joker gives the kids Halloween scares at the White House. Those are your three stories.
Those all sound exciting to me.
Yeah.
I would like to know more about Mr. T.
Mr. T.
Yeah.
And Santa.
Yeah. That's
Mr. T. Santa.
Yeah.
Mr. T. Santa. Let's go to Mr. T. Santa. Mr. T.
Mr.
Santa.
T. Santa. Good answer. All right, we will start with Mr. T. Santa. That was a good answer, Clap. It came in late. You cue it better next time.
You did it.
I know what you're talking about. These are all buttons that you've cued, and you know it. Don't act like I did that.
You're right.
All right. So the story one starts right now. Okay, so a couple things you need to know. First about the Reagan administration, and then about Mr. T, and then we will collide with how Mr. T became Santa Claus, because that's what happens in this story. Ronald Reagan is elected in 1980. He takes office in 1981. When he takes office, there has been an economic recession for most of the 1970s. You guys remember the economic recession?
It was brutal.
Of the 70s.
Yes, I'm still in it.
You're still reeling.
Personally.
Yeah. Now, that economic recession took place for a few reasons. One was because of the oil crisis in 73. One was because of the energy crisis in 79. Carter also had some no-nonsense, we're going to have to pay our bills and we're going to have to take care of people policies that Republicans didn't like, Democrats did like. It's a whole thing. We're not going to get into it right now. Ronald Reagan wins by and large in a landslide after Jimmy Carter sees the UFO. That's not actually who I win, but that's a callback to another episode. So Reagan takes over, and Ronald Reagan, that's a weird laugh, Ronald Reagan.
UFO.
That's Tony, our laugh guy.
Tony.
Yeah. So Ronald Reagan takes over. He was a movie star, and then now he's president of the United States. And his wife, Nancy Reagan, is thought of to be a very upper crust. In fact, she, by and large, has reputation of being not a person of the people. And when she takes over the White House, she puts an emphasis on appearances in a lot of ways. Number one, she brought a formality to White House functions that the Carters had gotten rid of. So Jimmy Carter, peanut farmer from Georgia, very down to earth. Nancy Reagan, everything was prim and proper. She wanted press in certain places. Everything was a 7-course meal, dressed to the nines all the time. She did a renovation of the entire White House. She said it was desperately needed. They needed new fixtures. They needed new wallpaper. They needed new flooring. They needed new everything. She even was quoted in an interview that got her in trouble that basically said the White House badly needs new china, like actual plate settings. And so the Democrats painted her out as an elitist who, while people are economically struggling and Reagan is giving tax cuts to big businesses, Nancy Reagan is this person that doesn't get it. She's out of touch with reality. And the reality of the situation is that she took donations to do these renovations. So she didn't use taxpayer money. She took donations. Now, the opposite party said that these donations were tax deductible and they still saved a lot of money on their taxes. So there was still an argument. But she continued to make the White House more prim, proper, and pristine. She did order new china for the White House. She designed the pattern herself. A specifically upscale fashion of renovation in the White House, of the formality of events, and she had a strong friendship with the royal family. She attended the royal wedding. Nancy Reagan gained a reputation of being out of touch with the American people, especially during a recession. You need to know that, okay? Second of all, in the early 1980s, Mr. T was the thing.
I love Mr. T.
He was the thing. Now,
can you dig it, sucker?
Yeah, that was it. Sure. I pity the fool was what he
Booker
said.
T.
Yeah,
Booker T.
Booker
Sorry,
T.
everybody.
Harlem
That's fine.
Heat.
That's fine.
That's next week's episode. Yeah. Stay tuned for the Harlem Heat.
It's all
wrestling. It was a fire.
It's all wrestling.
All
wrestling all the time.
All wrestling all the time. What if we did 3 WWE stories? You would crush.
I'd crush.
Yeah. So in 1982, Mr. T stars in a movie called Rocky III. He is Clubber Lang in that movie, the main villain, and he becomes very successful. Later that year, he signs on to play the role of B.A. Baracus. B.A. Baracus on the popular television show on NBC, known as the
A-Team.
We're the A-Team. That's
right.
Exactly right. Now, in 1983, August, the A-Team is released. It's one of the most popular shows on television. Mr. T is riding high. He's a big deal. People love him. And so, as the president, really, for almost the entirety of the presidency since we've had celebrity in the modern way we've had it, as the president is one to do, for Christmas, Nancy Reagan invites Mr. T to the White House for their Christmas party because she wants to work on her reputation of not being a woman of the people. And she invites the entire press corps to be there. Now, I don't know if Mr. T was paid, so do not ask me, but Mr. T is there as Santa Claus. Okay? Yep. He's got a bag. He's got Santa gear on. he's Santa Claus. He's sitting in Santa's chair. He's doing the whole bit. So the party's there. The party's happening. The press is there. Nancy Reagan's there. Mr. T is there. And Mr. T is upset because he clearly is taking his role very seriously. He's upset no one will sit on his lap to ask for what they want for Christmas.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Well, this is a very awkward situation because now we've got a bunch of upper crust White House people, and Mr. T is complaining that no one will sit on his lap, and it's weird. And the press is all there, right? So it's a very weird bit. It gets very awkward. And Nancy...
We got the audio?
No. Nancy Reagan, knowing what's at stake with her reputation and knowing the reason she brought him, goes over and hops on his lap, on Mr. T's lap, and then gives him a kiss on his forehead. Gets his head, a la you and I, Wendy Gap. Gets his head, kiss on the forehead, and the press eat it up. They snap pictures. Mr. T does not know what to do. He stops, and then he just goes, he says somebody's name, Burt Reynolds, eat your heart out, which I don't know why he would say that exactly. Maybe because Ronald Reagan was an actor. I don't know. But that's what he says. The press take pictures. It makes the press the next day. And still to this day, it's considered to be one of the most memorable First Lady, if not the most memorable First Lady photographs of all time. Thus concludes story one.
Their marriage was really good too.
Your 3 minutes of questions starts right now.
Burt Reynolds.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, that's what he said. He said Burt Reynolds. I know that was a throw-in, but he did say that. I should have said that during the story.
And did this help Nancy Reagan's popularity?
Yeah, Nancy Reagan started the Just Say No campaign, which was the war on drugs, which was massively unsuccessful the year before. And so this was it was part of a year-long renovation of her as the First Lady, because for the first couple years it was a struggle. Now, it was a struggle really for all 8 years with liberal voters, of course.
Sure.
But she was trying to, for the average American people.
Would you say she was one of the most involved First Ladies in history?
No.
Especially with the Just Say No. I mean, that was a big deal.
Yeah, I think that every First Lady has left a different mark on the presidency, and their role has changed and shifted over time. And Nancy Reagan is one of the first modern versions of the First Lady. But I mean, Hillary Clinton as a First Lady was she pushed for universal health care. So we're talking about serious legislation, whereas a Just Say No campaign is a pretty standard modern First Lady thing to do.
What did Ronnie say about the kiss?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
What did Mr. T say about the kiss?
Mr.
Was
T
he asked
honestly,
afterward?
he did not know how to take it. It was way more than he bargained for. He tried to stay in character, but ended up being very shaken by the whole incident. And I mean, you can imagine being in the paper as Mr. T in a Santa hat getting kissed by Nancy Reagan.
Sure.
You know.
I like this story.
You like it?
And I want it to be true more than anything else in the entire world, because
it's a pretty great story.
I love
all
Mr. T.
All three of these are great for varying reasons. They're all great.
But I love Mr. T.
I pity the fool that doesn't like him.
Can we agree right now that Rocky 3 has the best of the Rocky soundtracks with Eye of the Tiger on it?
Well, Eye of the Tiger kind of wins the day because 4's got some bangers. 1 has the original Bill Conti number, but the Eye of the Tiger is the Rocky song in that
Thrill,
right. 3.
Thrill of the fight.
Yeah.
Mr. T, that's all I got. I got nothing else about this. This is
All
a
right.
great story.
Very good.
Yeah, I feel like you really did a great job of
Thanks.
this.
You guys want to hear about Willie Nelson smoking weed, or you want to hear about Jack Nicholson as the Joker scaring kids?
I think weed.
Yeah,
Okay.
Let's go weed.
Let's go weed.
All right, this one, story number 2 starts right now. A little bit of background on Jimmy Carter and on Willie Nelson. I mean, this story does seem like a little bit of a softball. Granted, you know about Willie Nelson, so just a little bit of background. The election in 1976 was between Jimmy Carter and Gerald Ford. There was a distrust amongst Republicans of the Republican Party because of Nixon and Watergate. Gerald Ford doesn't do exactly a great job. And we talked about this in a previous episode, but a lot of Republicans, for one of their first and only times, voted for a Democratic president in Jimmy Carter. Peanut farmer, Christian, Southern Baptist, Georgia, all the things that really struck a chord with Republicans, yet he was a Democrat. So he takes over in 1976. And one of his biggest supporters was country singer Willie Nelson. Willie Nelson sang at a lot of his campaign rallies. When he would go speak at different events, Willie Nelson would sing beforehand. So after he wins the election, Carter and Willie Nelson maintain a friendship. Now, Carter has several kids, and obviously it was very important that as a guy who claimed to be a Christian, for all that stuff, that you were above board in your actions, especially his kids. So I tell you all that to tell you this. After Carter wins the election in 76, he's inaugurated in 77, and he invites Willie Nelson and his wife to come over to play a private concert in the Rose Garden and then spend the night in the Lincoln bedroom at the White House. Big deal. Mm-hmm. Willie Nelson plays the concert and plays live for Carter and his friends in the Rose Garden. And then afterwards, they have a nice dinner, they hang out, they have some drinks, and they go to bed. Nelson retreats to his room with his wife. And shortly after retreating to his room, he hears a little knock on the door. The knock is from Jimmy Carter, or James Carter III, known as Chip Carter. At this point, Chip Carter is 20 years old. Chip is still alive today. I will get to that here in a little bit. So Chip Carter knocks on the door and he asks Willie Nelson if he wants to go on a tour of the White House. Willie Nelson says absolutely. So the first place Chip takes Willie is to the basement, and there's the bowling alley that Nixon put in. They bowl a few lanes, spares. What are the frames? That's the word. Mm-hmm. They bowl a few lanes and frames, stains, names. And then they find their way up to the roof. Now Chip gets to the roof and says, this is the best view in all of Washington, D.C., because you can see how all the roads kind of stem from Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, it is at this point that I'm not sure who had the joint, but a joint was brought out, and Chip Carter and Willie Nelson smoked themselves some marijuana cigarettes on the roof of the White House in 1977. So this story was alluded to and told several times by Willie Nelson, with missing information every time he would tell it. So in the 80s and 90s, he'd be interviewed and he'd say, yeah, I was up on the roof and I smoked some weed at the White House. And he never would tell the full version of the story in the 80s and 90s. And then in 2015, Rolling Stone interviewed him about his life, because Willie Nelson at that point had launched a weed company. Willie Nelson actually has a marijuana company now.
That's surprising.
And so they asked him, and he admitted that it was Chip Carter. And Chip, he had told Chip he would never say anything about it, but it was Chip. That's what happened. So then Rolling Stone called Chip Carter in 2015, who's now in his 60s, and Chip Carter confirmed that it was him and it did happen, and we were never supposed to talk about it again. And they said, do you want to talk any further? Can we ask you some more questions? Chip Carter said no and hung up the phone. So it was a story that never fully reached its fruition as long as Jimmy Carter was. Jimmy Carter's still alive as someone in the public eye because of shame and embarrassment. But finally, we confirmed all that information in 2015. That ends story number 2. 3 minutes of questions starts right now.
Oh, what strain of marijuana was it? Do you know?
Willie Nelson called it a Texas torpedo.
A Texas torpedo.
That's what he called it.
The way that you tell the story makes it sound like this was Chip's plan all along. I'm going to give Willie Nelson a tour, go down
That's right.
to the bowling alley,
That's right.
and then end up on the roof. Was it Chip's idea?
Chip, once again, only confirmed that it happened.
Yeah.
But the way Willie Nelson tells the story is, I was going to go to bed with my wife, and I heard a knock on the door, and Chip asked if I wanted to take a tour of the White House. That's the only version of the story that we have, and so Chip had to initiate this. Had to have. But I mean, think about it. If you are going to partake in marijuana, and you have Willie Nelson at your house, I mean, and it's the White House, when are you going to have that chance?
Are there any other stories of people smoking marijuana on the roof of the White House?
No.
So there's only been marijuana in the White House one time that we can confirm.
Definitely never has been there other than that one time.
That's all my questions.
Willie Nelson, did he ever go back to the White House?
I'm sure he's been back at some point. I don't know the answer to that question. Anything else?
I think that's it.
Going once, going twice, sold. All right. So there's the second story about Willie Nelson. It's done. We're going to skip on down to the third story here. You guys ready?
Bring it.
So ready.
Ready for the third one. Lot to think about. So the third story starts right now. In 1988, at the end of Reagan's 8 years in office, George H.W. Herbert Walker Bush is elected president, and he takes over in 1989. Now, George H.W. Bush's presidency is known mainly for foreign affairs. There was a lot going on. The end of the Cold War, tearing down of the Berlin Wall, Soviet Union dissolving. There's the Persian Gulf War, the military invasion of Panama, the signing of NAFTA. You guys know NAFTA.
Oh, NAFTA's the worst.
Do you know what is it?
Never always feel alone.
That was NAFA.
NAFA know-how. Never always feel totally alone.
Never always feel totally alone. And what do you think it stands for?
North American Freedom Taco Association.
North American Free Trade Agreement. You were very close.
I was close.
Yeah. So
I was close.
I could go for a free taco.
wow. If there was a
NAFTA,
North American Free Taco Alliance,
Yep.
I am in for that.
I was working on it for a while.
You were really working, and you just hit a
I hit a
roadblock.
snag.
What was the snag? Was it the
No one
money?
wanted to give me free
Was it free
tacos.
tacos? Yeah, I thought it
I
might
said,
be.
I have an alliance. I called
Yeah.
several places and they said, sir, please stop calling here.
Yeah,
I
there
was
is not a
confused.
world where you get free tacos. Did you get anybody to join the alliance along the way?
I have several people who are interested.
Yeah.
They asked me,
Consider me.
are you
one of
in?
them.
I'm in.
Yeah.
I'm in.
Guys,
Free taco.
that's two more than I had.
Wow, good. So anyway, all of this happens during the first Bush tenure as president. Also, domestically, while there was less, during his campaign, he campaigned for no new taxes, and then he ended up giving new taxes. So there's a lot not to like about what H.W. Bush did, and he's remembered as a unmemorable president. He's remembered as a middle-of-the-road president. During his 4 years at the White House, Halloween was an important part of what George H.W. Bush did. Now, why was it important? Let me give you a little history about Halloween at the White House that I found incredibly fascinating. So, it had been a tradition since the Eisenhower administration. Mamie, her name was Mamie Eisenhower hosted a Halloween lunch for staffers and their family, hung skeletons around the house.
Maybe it's Maybelline.
It's Maybelline. So what's weird is mostly the Republican presidents ended up bearing the mantle for Halloween. Nixon began a popular tradition of having local kids for a Halloween party, where 250 from a foundation that he started would come over. They would dress up, give a mask. It's a weird bit to think about, but it was a legit part of what it meant to be president. George H.W. Bush held a massive Halloween party in 1989, 600 local children from the White House area on the White House lawn. Okay. So because Barbara Bush was not nearly as big a fan of the witches, ghouls, ghosts as some of the previous presidents. Now, let's pause right here. Oh, actually, I can tell you one more thing about that party. George H.W. Bush told ghost stories, and he told a story of the ghost of Abraham Lincoln. You can imagine all the kids being bored to tears. Mm-hmm. But plenty of candy, White House lawn, presses there, the whole bit. So the biggest movie of 1989 was Tim Burton's Batman. Now, in that movie, Jack Nicholson plays the Joker. Jack Nicholson, for the 1980s, one of the biggest actors around. Another thing very notorious about Jack Nicholson is he kept his politics completely to himself. It wasn't until 2007 that he made any political stance of any kind. Jack Nicholson was known as a very weird, eccentric dude who would just show up to season tickets to Lakers games, would show up when he wanted to, but he was apolitical and would praise people for being political, but would not be political himself. So, he was known for a lot of things, One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, among many others, but he created this iconic role of the Joker in 1989. It was the first modern day blockbuster, Batman was. And so in the summer of 1989, people had Joker hysteria. Well, the White House invited Jack Nicholson to their Halloween party, and Nicholson dressed as the Joker. It was a Halloween. So the White House was very certain that this would be a success. They were excited. There was a tradition of having these holiday parties and having celebrities come to them. And so the school children were elementary age children, and some of them were terrified. And we know this because there was a picture of Jack Nicholson coming out in the purple suit and the mask. And there is one child in the background of the picture who looks as though he's about to crap his pants. There's a famous picture of the event smiling in his iconic purple suit. One grade school kid in the background. Members of the White House staff had to ensure children the Joker wasn't actually there. And then 2 children had to be taken out of the party and calmed down. What the White House said in response to this was they did not think that many elementary school children would have been allowed to watch the movie. The movie was rated PG-13.
Which was like R.
Yeah,
kind
it
of.
was PG-13 was only new in the last 5 years.
Right.
I remember I was 6. I was not allowed to watch the movie. I remember specifically not being allowed to watch the movie. So they were banking on it being something for the adults and parents in the room and a chance to meet Jack Nicholson. Some of the kids had been taken to the theater, and so they were terrified to see the Joker there in person. It also was the last Halloween party hosted by the Bush family and the last one involving children of any kind until the Obamas did a trick-or-treat at the White House during the first year of his administration. So for 20 years after this, a president did not host a White House party, and then Michelle and Barack Obama did trick-or-treat for the kids in 2009. So that is the end of story 3. Your 3 minutes of questions start right now.
Why did Jack come?
He was invited. The White House invited him.
And he said,
yeah, it's the same reason
Did
Mr.
they
T
invite
came.
him to dress up as the Joker?
Yes. Yes.
Has Donald done anything for Halloween?
I do not know the answer to that. That would be fascinating. The Obamas did the trick-or-treat thing every year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the kids were really afraid. Did any parents got really upset?
No parents on record got upset because you're at the White House, and I think there's some honor at being at the White House. And remember that it was an elementary school age children. So
did Jack do anything in costume to try to alleviate the franticness of the children?
So I've not seen video. I know in the picture he's smiling and the kid's behind him, and so it's hard to tell. I'm sure that Jack Nicholson didn't care one way or the other because he's Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, but also him smiling is kind of a Joker thing to do.
He's terrifying.
Yeah.
I don't have any questions about this because I
just
can
wanna
see it all in my
see pictures.
I do too. I want this equally to be true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want
Between
the
this,
two-
Willie Nelson smoking weed.
I
and
hope
Mr.
I
T
wish they were
getting
all
kissed
true.
by Nancy Reagan.
The one with the picture, this one and Nancy with Santa Claus, Mr. T, are the two with the pictures, and those are the two that I hope are right because I want to see the pictures.
I think one of
Yeah.
All right, we done?
I think we're
This
done.
was a quickie.
Well, it's just you did such a good job at telling the
All
story.
right,
yeah, and there's I felt like I was there the whole time.
Every time.
I felt like I was there the whole
All
time.
right, it's time for a little conference between you two. Go ahead, talk
so
it
we
out, hash
have
it
the
out.
two
Yeah, we have the two-
movies, not the two movies, the two stories
with pictures in them.
pictures of people, famous people.
Yeah, one of them's I think false.
Okay, one of those ones you think?
I think is one of those. I think is false. Willie Nelson smoking weed with Carter's son seems almost pedestrian in nature.
It seems
seems
like
right.
such a softball.
Yeah, it seems as if that is exactly what you would expect from both the Carter and the
From
Carter
everyone
son.
involved.
Everyone involved. That doesn't seem like a stretch.
Yeah,
Which is maybe exactly what he wants
that's
us
exactly
to do.
what he wants us to do.
It's tricky.
Well, and this is tough too because this is the start of my streak.
Yeah, and you want to make sure you get it
You want
right.
to make sure you get it right.
Get it right. All right. Okay. All right.
You guys ready?
Yeah.
I think
All
we're
right.
ready.
We'll go with Brandon first.
I think this is so tough. Currently, I am between the Willie Nelson story and the Mr. T story as being the ones that could be false. And I am going with the Mr. T story. Nope. Willie Nelson's false.
Willie Nelson is false.
Willie Nelson.
I'm going with Mr. T being false. That's the one I have a feeling is false.
And so that way, if he said it and then he took it back, you could have another one on him and be up 4-1, which would be great if that were the case. But it's not. You're both wrong.
Oh no!
Jack Nicholson's story never happened.
Oh no!
Never happened. Got him, but you can look up that Nancy Reagan Mr. T picture, which is one for the ages. I can try to find that for you. And Willie Nelson was so pedestrian that it was hopefully a double red herring with you. And so the streak doesn't live on.
My losing streak is living on. Dadgummit, man.
Right?
But you know what? I will take this over
Here we
a
go.
panda win.
Here we go.
I gotta be honest with you. That picture is more uncomfortable. He is baffled.
Yes.
Mr. T is
He's
absolutely
like,
baffled.
oh, wait a minute.
Wait.
This is more than I bargained
hold it up
for.
for that camera?
Yeah, I
don't
can.
know if
Yeah,
they-
yeah.
I don't know if they'll be
Sure.
able to see it.
Are we
be
gonna
able to
link it in the
expect.
show notes too?
Yeah, we'll
link
link it in the
it
show notes.
Holy smokes!
Right? Boy, I got them both. It always feels good when I get a win.
I gotta be honest with you,
Mr. T. This is the immediate aftermath of that, and he is sitting there thinking, "What just happened?"
But you know what? We're 6 episodes in. I'm only down 3 to 1.
It's 3-1. You're down 2. Yeah.
You know what? And I still feel we had a long season to go, like a 30-episode season.
Yeah.
And so I'm feeling good.
I just want to toss out, even though this wasn't a win for me, it wasn't a loss, and so I
was a
want to
draw.
I want to
Is
thank
there a-
everyone.
I
who
know as
supported
soon
me.
as he said he took the other one, you were going to take that one because that would be a double win.
Yeah, that would have been.
Is
But
there a playoff? Like, what are we doing? Is it all regular season here?
we
Is
get
there
a trophy
playoff?
at the end.
I would say at the end, I will bring something to the winner. I won't tell you what it is, but I'll bring something to the winner.
I really can't wait to see what
That's
it
right.
is because it's going to be hanging up in my house for a long time.
How about this though? If some reason, this isn't fair, but if some reason you both miss and I get my point should be worth more than 1, right? Like, because that means you both missed and I fooled you.
You're not playing.
Okay, fair enough. Whatever.
Hey, Alex Trebek hasn't gotten Jeopardy.
That's not exactly apples to apples, but I appreciate it. He's never gotten Jeopardy, is what you said.
That is true.
Perfect. Guys, thanks for listening again to History of His Story. Follow us on the socials at His Story Podcast or go online at historyofhisstory.com. Like, rate, review, do all those fun things.
all those
Email me
fun
if you're
things.
mad because I missed something or talk bad about your favorite person. Dan at deckthehallmark.com. Guys,
Thanksgiving. Hope you guys have a good Thanksgiving. Watch those Hallmark movies. Listen to Deck the Hallmark.
we'll see you next Monday. And until next time.
If it's not
history,
it's his story.
TM.
That was fun.
It was. It's a good one. But see, Palaha would have gotten that because he would have remembered the other 2 being stories in the 80s. And he would have remembered.
I'll never smoke weed with Willie again.
You want to call with the mics? You want the mics?
What is this?